All right, so here we are. Just want to kind of reinforce sort of how we go about, determining if there's some value inside of a project before moving forward. So obviously on that agenda is determining the after improved value. So the way we do that is log right on to the members portion of the multiple listing. And by the way, again, just to reiterate, this is the same exact system that appraisers use when they go in and they're pulling comps for their appraisals that they do. So licensed appraisers have access to the same website, and that's how they create their reports, by using that. So that's why I always use this system versus some of the other ones that are out there, like, Zillow is really very flawed. So when people go on there, they go and they put information on there that is really, they get inaccurate information. So let's go in here and let me just get rid of this real quick. And we're going to go to a quick search, residential. All right, and obviously, again, we want to get as specific as possible to the subject property. So obviously, we want to go to the town. That one's in Jefferson, which is in Lake Wk2 section. The only thing we want to search is sold, because that's really the best and only indicator to really determine what the value of a property is. So I take it a step further also, and since there's multiple zip codes inside of Jefferson, or towns, whatever you want to call it, I obviously narrow it down to that as well. All right, so this is the Lake Wk2 section of Jefferson. And then I also want to choose the type of house. I want to just keep it to the branches. Now, in some cases you can't do this. In this particular situation you can. And to further narrow this down, I'm going to put a range in, because obviously I've done this search before and I know what comes up, and if I were just to put no variables inside of here, we'd have a list of 50 properties to go through, and the last thing I want to do is waste your time. So I'm just going to put a range of what I know homes in this area sell for in that range. All right, and then from there, what we're going to do is a search, and it comes up, as you can see, with 17 listings. So I am going to choose all of those, with the exception of this one, because I know that particular one was a lakefront and it actually needed a new septic. It's another benefit of working in an area that you know, so sometimes you know some of the comps that are in there, and it just makes it that much easier. Or for yourself, working with someone like myself who obviously has a good handle on the market. All right, so we're just going to do called a two-up agent search. And we're just going to go through here and kind of give an assessment of the various different types of houses that have sold. All right, so let's just start here. This one sold for $150. I'm just going to go through the pictures. As you can see, very outdated cat kitchens. As far as those are, I know this house too because I went in there, and this is those kind of like the fake imitation hardwood floors. So you really can't count those as real hardwood floors from an appraisal standpoint. So again, not nearly as updated as what I'm going to be doing with that project. So that's a comp, but not a good comp because it's smaller. It's only 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. We're doing 3 bedroom, 2 baths. But still, even though that kind of reinforces everything I said, $150,000, and we still even tackled and talked about the house in an updated state with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. All right. This house is another 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 1 half bath, similar in square footage, not too far away. And this one was a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. I know this property as well. It was a foreclosure, similar to the style home that I was purchasing. And again, just to reiterate and reinforce what that means is that when you go through the foreclosure process, that's actual legal judicial process. Each state is different, and it also is dictated by the type of mortgage that's on there. But for all intents and purposes, if you were to be an investor and you were going to go to buy a home, you go to the county courthouse where you can buy, the foreclosures. The problem with that is that, number one, doing it in that fashion, A, you're not allowed to get home inspections, and you've got to come up with 20% down and have the rest of that money in 30 days. So it's not for the starter. And I've been doing this a long time, and I kind of gravitate away from that because of, especially if you're dealing with an area that has septic systems and stuff like that, really can cause problems not having the ability to get them inspected. So with that said, when you're dealing with a property that goes to foreclosure, that the first one you're competing against is the bank who has the mortgage on there. So they're going to bid up into the point on what they owe, because really that's legally all they're allowed to do. But a lot of times in this particular example, obviously the other investors didn't feel there was enough room for them to buy this, having those type of unknown variables with a well and a septic and that type of thing. So this wound up going back to the bank. So the bank takes this back, and exactly the same scenario with the property I'm buying. Now the bank owns it, and you're buying it from the bank. And the great news is with that, it's still, it's a bank foreclosure where the bank took it back, but now you're able to buy it in a scenario where you're able to get all your inspections, and it's a much more safer environment. You're able to structure the financing terms exactly the way you want. So all in all, a much better way. You're not going to get as good as a deal as you would if you were to buy it, at the auction, but still, considering all the other variables I just mentioned, still definitely some good properties to be had from that basis. And as like I said, they call it a REO, which is real estate owned, or a bank owned, but they pretty much mean the same thing. It was a foreclosure that was taken back at the auction by the bank. All right. So here's another one. This one sold for $170, or I should say $169. Just to see, it only sold in 11 days. And again, only a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, not as updated as ours, or I should say as the one that we're going to be doing. Pretty close in spec with regard to square footage and everything, but again, only 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. That one sold for $169. So this is again just reinforcing my theory that I'm going to be able to sell this one for, upwards of $200,000 is what the goal is. And once, we're done with the project, I'm going to update this video and you'll have that. But for now, obviously, it's not done, so we don't have that data as of yet. Here's another one, $175 it sold for. Now, this one is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, closer to the projected one as far as what I think. This one has a relatively nice little view here. Not as updated, though. Again, as you can see, this is a completely outdated kitchen. The flooring is not good. Now, this at least has the real hardwood floors, but they look like they probably need to be resurfaced to bring them back to new state. Again, outdated bathroom. Completely needs to be updated, and the same thing, no hardwood in the bedrooms. And again, those need to be updated as well. Other than that, it's very similar in size, square footage. So again, I think that a home of this size, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, with all the upgrades we're going to be doing, I think we're going to be easily able to get close to the 200,000 mark, if not over that. Here's another one, 3 bedroom, 1 bath, sold for $165. Again, outdated, needs to be updated in the kitchen. Hardwood floors, they look like they appear to be in pretty good shape. All in all, though, the home, is a little bit outdated than the one that we're going to be projecting, and this one, it sold for $165,000. Right. Here's another one, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. So similar. Still nowhere near as far as the level of upgrades that we're going to be doing in there with the granite, and these are your basic grade cabinets. No hardwood floors. Does have that garage, but considering what our level is, and also keep in mind one of their bathrooms is only this small little stall shower. We're having full-size bathrooms in each of ours, all completely redone with really, nice, not 100% high-end, but, high-end for that neighborhood. So we're still able to do it on a budget and not really get into a position where we're, over-improving, so to speak. So all in all, a good comp, but definitely will be adjustments made since it's, not as updated. All right, here's another one. This one sold for $180. Again, only 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, only 4 rooms. Sold in 14 days, and does have the real hardwood floors there. Kitchen, again, nowhere near as updated. Has the washer dryer in the kitchen, which is, to me, not a great thing for saleability, but still, knowing that, sold for, close to list price in 14 days. So obviously the market warrants something like this. And this would be very similar to our master suite. So you notice here it does have the cathedral ceilings and a nice little skylight, but does not have the master suite bathroom. So very similar comp, but again, this one sold for $180 at a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Ours is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and definitely, I think, would just those 2 variables warrant an extra $25,000. This one sold for $180, so I think by us putting it on the market, the 200 range, we're going to come close and sell it very quickly. All right, this one, a little bit bigger acreage-wise. Somewhat updated, but not as updated as nicely as ours. This one sold for $190, has 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. So ours has the master suite. So again, again reinforces everything I'm telling you here, is that by us putting the 3-bedroom, 2-bath with the master suite, we're definitely going to be able to come into the neighborhood of $200,000. So that one above sold for $190, as you can see over here. All right. And then this one, see, Lake Forest section, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Again, not nearly as updated, needs to be completely re-updated, in fact. And that one sold for $170, and that was, again, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, not a 3-bedroom, 2 bath. Here's one that is a 2-bedroom, 2 bath that sold for $205, $204.9 to be exact. A little bit bigger, but does only have the 2 bedrooms, not the full 3 bedrooms. And again, probably does not have the septic, which is the reason for that, which is why having a 3-bedroom septic in that type of scenario is very important, because this house can definitely probably warrant a 3rd bedroom, but since it only has a 2-bedroom septic, it can only market itself as such, and you can't make the improvements. But again, nice size, a little bit larger. That one sold for $205, but lacked the master suite. So I think we're on track somewhere right in that neighborhood of the 200. Here's another one sold for $202. Not a lot of pictures in it, but similar in size and square footage, and that's only a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and sold for $202. Here's another one sold for $190. So all in all points directions are really moving to the direction of that $200,000 plus mark, and I think these comps support that. I wish there was a little bit more comps with the same level of upgrades that we're going to be doing, but unfortunately, just based upon the timing, we don't have that right now. So here's another one. Just unfortunately doesn't give a lot of information on the inside as well. This one sold for $223. All right. So I think that about gives us enough details on the various types of listings that are out there that definitely support the numbers that we said. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 is what the value, and that's what this home I think will definitely sell for. And so that about wraps this portion of the video up.